I want to welcome you all to the 2021 annual Plymouth School District annual meeting. And we'll start by pledging to Pledge of Allegiance. The flag on the wall behind there. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. My name is Quentin Blaine. I'm the moderator of the school district. And tonight, we have made provisions. If there are people who did not want to wear masks, we made provisions to allow them to be in another room, and we would connect them via this AV setup that the school district was so kind to set up. We're hoping we don't need to use it, but if there's people in there, we will adjust the meeting how it's usually run in order to include them in the process and try to make it safe for all of us. Please, if you have a question, go through the questions go through me. Don't ask another person in the room is the way to do it.
I think they're having a hard time hearing you.
Okay, is there a way to get this a little louder? Okay, so it's operator error here then. And I don't see good to the left, so I always want to go that way. But
I think John is trying to turn up the microphone. Maybe he just.
Yeah, I can turn it up a little bit more. Otherwise, the dreaded feedback.
okay, that's a little better, I think. And if you have a question or a comment, please come up to the microphone. Please state your name each time so anyone who's keeping records here or watching you on TV knows who you are. And that'll bring us to Article 1, Reports of Agents, Auditors, Committees, or Officers. And it's to see what action the school district will take relative to the reports of agents, auditors, committees, and officers. I would entertain a motion to accept or a motion to reject that. Is there a motion?
That's Amy.
Amy?
You have that card.
Yes, sorry. I move that the school board accepts the reports of agents, auditors, committees, and officers.
Is there a second?
Second.
Article 1 has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, that brings us to the article. All those in favor of Article 1, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Article 1 passes. Article 2, support staff collective bargaining agreement. To see if the school district will vote to approve the cost items included in the collective bargaining agreement reached between the school board and the Plymouth Elementary Support Personnel Association, which calls for the following increases in salaries and benefits at the current staffing levels. For fiscal year 2021 to 2022, the estimated increase is $44,050. For the fiscal year 2022 to 2023, the estimated increase is $41,404. For fiscal year 2023-2024, the estimated increase is $37,630. And further, to raise and appropriate $44,050 for the current fiscal year, such sum representing the additional cost attributable to the increase in salaries and benefits required by the new agreement over those that would be paid at current staffing levels. Is there a motion?
I move that the school district vote to approve the cost items included in the collective bargaining agreement reached between the school board and the Plymouth Elementary Support Personnel Association, which calls for the following increases in salaries and benefits at the current staffing level. For fiscal year 2021 to 2022, an estimated increase of $44,050. Fiscal year 2022 to 2023, an estimated increase of $41,404. For fiscal year 2023 to 2024, an estimated increase of $37,630, and to further raise and appropriate $44,050 for the current fiscal year, such sum representing the additional costs attributable to the increase in salaries and benefits required by the new agreement over those that would be paid at current staffing levels.
Is there a second?
Second.
Article 2 has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or discussion? Patrice?
Good evening, Mr. Moderator. I'm just wondering, what are the current staffing levels that relate to this article? And then as a point of information, also, what is our current teacher staff and student number at the elementary school?
Okay, is that a two-part question, I think? Okay, that's fine. Is there somebody who can respond?
Yes, Tanya has
Okay, Tanya.
So as of today, we have 404 students in the, enrolled in the building, or enrolled in the school. I believe about 47 of them are remote. That is a number that is quite consistent over the course of the last 20 years. It's a variance of only about no more than 20 below that in the last 20 years. So that's held very steady. In terms of the, I wanted to get the exact number for you, so give me one moment. The teacher, full-time employees for teachers is 32 point, what we're proposing for next year is 32.6, which is down 1 from what our current staffing is. And for the para-educators, which is the bulk of this, we are proposing 20 full-time employees, which is again 1 less than we have this year.
Are there any further questions or discussion on Article 2? We'll bring that to a vote. All those in favor of Article 2, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay? Article 2 passes. Brings us to Article 3, to see if the school district will vote to establish a contingency fund for the current year for unanticipated expenses that may arise, and further to raise and appropriate $1,000 to put in the fund, the sum to come from general taxation. Any appropriation left in the fund at the end of the year will lapse to the general fund. Is there a motion? And you don't need to make the motion, you can just move the article. You don't need to repeat it.
So moved. Thank you.
Okay. You can repeat it if you like, but I.
Would you like me to
is there a
repeat it?
second?
Or are you comfortable? Okay.
Okay, it's been seconded. Article 3 has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on Article 3? Any questions? Seeing none, then we'll bring it to a vote. All those in favor of Article 3, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by saying no. Article 3 passes. Which brings us to Article 4, authorization to retain fund balance. To see if the school district will vote to authorize indefinitely until rescinded to retain year-end unassigned general funds in an amount not to exceed in any fiscal year 5% of the current fiscal year's net assessment in accordance with RSA 198:4-B, Roman numeral 2. Is there a motion?
I will move the article as stated.
Is there a second? Article 4 has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or questions on Article 4?
Zach Terrell. In this past year, well, it's a multi-part question, but I'll start with the first part. In this past year, what would this have been? What would 5% have been of the net assessment?
Yes.
So I'm not a resident of Plymouth, but I'm assuming, I'm Dan Rossner, the business administrator, I'm assuming it's okay for me to speak. The answer to your question, the number would have been, if this article had been approved last year and the school board had chosen to retain the maximum amount allowed, it would have been $271,993.
Okay, 271,000. And What, if we had had that in place, I assume the select board, the school board would have used that money in some way. What's an example of how that money might have been used?
So I want to be clear that if they're going to use it, they have to have a hearing in advance of using it. But
Okay.
an example of how it could have been used, it could have been carried forward to next year and used as a revenue. They could have committed it to a revenue to reduce the burden, the tax impact of next year's budget. That make sense?
It does, but how is that different than how that revenue was used this year?
Well, so there was zero retained. So the amount that was returned in the form of a fund balance to lower taxes this past fall was about $317,000. So
So the example you gave is exactly what happened
no,
under the
not,
current
not,
law?
not at all. It's the opposite. Instead of returning in the form of a fund balance from the year that ended in June of 2020, instead of returning that $317,000 to reduce taxes this fall and creating a spike because there's no fund balance known for this year for next fall, it could have been used as a smoothing effect to reduce, but if they had retained a portion of that $317,000, okay?
Yeah.
Slightly more taxes would have been raised this past fall, and the jump to this coming fall wouldn't be as great. That's one example. Another example would be if there were emergency expenses that came up due to the pandemic or some other reason, possibly an unknown student comes into the district that has significant needs, that those funds would have been available rather than taking away from other funds or raising additional funds.
Just to clarify your example, this past year, we had a fund balance. That was used to reduce the taxes for the current fiscal year, not for the coming fiscal year.
Correct.
So the difference is we could retain that money to reduce future taxes.
Yes,
Without this in place, we use that money to just reduce that current year's taxes.
correct.
So the effect is similar, it's just would be a delay, and it would give you the flexibility to do something else other than reducing taxes.
In the example that you've written, yes, that is correct. So it could be used as a smoothing effect on the tax rate or to deal with unanticipated expenses.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any further questions or discussions on Article 5?
As a discussion item, if anybody's wondering so this is 5% of our current assessment. This green sheet that's handed out shows our current assessment for anybody who's curious about that. So you can calculate what 5% would have been in any of the years in the past.
Yep.
Any further comments or questions on Article 5?
Four.
4, Article 4. Hearing none, we'll bring it to a vote. All those in favor of Article 4 signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? No. Article 4 passes. Which brings us to Article 5, Fund Balance to Capital Reserve Fund. To see if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of up to $50,000 to be added to the Building Maintenance Capital Reserve Fund previously established. The sum to come from the June 30 fund balance available for transfer on July 1. No amount to be raised from taxation. The school board recommends this article. Is there a motion?
I move the article as written and stated.
Is there a second? Article 5 has been moved and seconded. Is there discussion or are there questions? Seeing none, I'll bring it to a vote. All those in favor of Article 5, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Article 5 passes. Article 6, operating budget. To see if the district will vote to raise and appropriate the amount of $9,302,795 for the support of schools, for the payment of salaries for the school district officials and agents, and for the payment for the statutory obligations of the district. This article does not include appropriations contained in special or individual articles addressed separately. Is there a motion?
I
that Article 6 be moved as written and stated.
Is there a second?
Second.
Article 6 has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or any questions about Article 6? Patrice?
Patrice Scott, I just have a point of order. I don't see any articles after the operating budget to be able to discuss any other business, and I just wondered this is our only time. I simply wanted to thank the school board and say something after the budget was passed, but I don't see a mechanism for doing that.
If for something like that, Patrice, go right ahead if you'd like.
Okay,
think you just
should I
did.
wait for the article?
Pardon?
Should I wait for the article, or?
No, we don't have a sort of a cleanup at the end at all for this.
Right, okay.
But after
Which-
this article, I will give you a moment to speak.
Okay,
How's
thank you,
that?
thank you.
Is there any discussion on Article 6 or any questions about Article 6? Seeing none, we'll bring Article 6 to a vote. All those in favor of Article 6, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by saying no. Article 6 passes. Patrice, would you like to speak to the meeting?
Good evening. I just want to say I haven't been here for ages to an annual school district meeting, and I apologize. Everybody's busy. I've focused on other things. But I just wanted to personally thank the school board for all your efforts, and the administration especially for continuing in this very difficult time, a very scary time for many people, to conduct business the way we've conducted it here in Plymouth for over 250 years. I was very disturbed that our own town meeting will not happen in person, which I think you have demonstrated this evening and through your budget hearings, that we can do it in a safe, responsible manner and still include open debate. So I know it's not an easy job to be on the receiving end of people's questions in a public hearing, but it's part of the process. And if we exclude the public, that's not good for our children or for our town. So I also want to thank the teachers for continuing to teach in a time when many have chosen not to, and it's for the benefit of our children. So I really appreciate everybody's efforts in wearing masks and doing whatever it is that we had to do. I'm very grateful to this town and to our officials for allowing this to go forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patrice.
It's the teachers and the administrators, right?
I would like to personally,
And Kyla, all the educators in the audience, the administration, those are the ones that have done all this work to keep our kids in school where they need to be. Thank you for highlighting that. But,
And my thanks also to the staff here that set up this room. You know, it may be the safest place in Plymouth tonight, I'm not sure, but it is very well done. There's nothing else to come before the meeting, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there, we stand adjourned.